In the heart of Portland, Oregon, where rain-slicked streets reflect the glow of storefront lights, a peculiar series of events began unfolding at Mike's Corner Deli. The small family-owned establishment had been experiencing mysterious disappearances of food from their back alley storage area, leaving the owner, Mike Thompson, increasingly frustrated and bewildered. Every morning, Mike would discover scattered remains of packaging and missing inventory, primarily consisting of day-old bread and leftover meats. At first, he assumed it was simply the work of raccoons or other urban wildlife, but security camera footage revealed something far more intriguing: a large, shaggy-coated German Shepherd mix with distinctive amber eyes. The dog moved with an almost calculated precision, appearing like clockwork between 2 and 3 a.m., carefully selecting specific items from the discarded food bins. Unlike other strays that would frantically grab whatever they could find, this dog showed remarkable restraint and intelligence in his selections. Local residents began sharing stories of similar incidents at other establishments along Madison Street. The mysterious canine had been spotted at multiple locations, always following the same methodical approach to gathering food, never aggressive, never making a mess beyond what was necessary to access the items he needed. Sarah Chen, a young veterinary student working part-time at the local animal shelter, first heard about the dog during her morning coffee runs to Mike's Deli. The stories of this intelligent stray immediately captured her attention, stirring both her professional curiosity and compassionate nature. What struck everyone most was the dog's appearance. Despite being a stray, his coat, though shaggy, showed signs of recent grooming. His movements, while cautious, displayed no signs of injury or illness common among street dogs. This was no ordinary homeless animal. The neighborhood children had begun calling him Shadow due to his ability to appear and disappear seemingly at will. Some even claimed to have seen him sharing his gathered food with other strays, though most dismissed these tales as urban legends. As winter approached and temperatures began to drop, concern for the mysterious dog grew among the local community. Several attempts had been made to approach him, but he would always maintain a safe distance, disappearing into the maze of alleyways with his carefully selected provisions. Mike, despite his initial frustration, found himself deliberately leaving out better quality food items, intrigued by the dog's gentle nature and systematic approach. He noticed that Shadow would only take what he needed, never raiding the fresh inventory, only selecting from what would otherwise be discarded. The dog's behavior pattern suggested he wasn't just surviving, he was on a mission. His selections were too specific, his timing too precise for random scavenging. There was an intelligence and purpose behind his actions that hinted at a deeper story. Sarah began spending her evenings observing the areas where Shadow had been spotted, documenting his movements and behaviors. Her professional training told her that this dog had once been someone's beloved pet. His mannerisms and social awareness were too refined for a lifelong stray. Through conversations with local business owners, a timeline emerged. Shadow had first appeared in the neighborhood approximately 3 months ago, coinciding with the closure of the old veterans' retirement home on the outskirts of town. The local police had received no reports of missing dogs matching Shadow's description, and the city shelter had no record of a dog fitting his unique characteristics being surrendered or reported lost. The mystery of his origins only deepened with each passing day. The community's curiosity continued to grow as more people shared their encounters with Shadow. Some reported seeing him navigating traffic with remarkable awareness, while others swore they'd seen him waiting patiently at crosswalks for the light to change, behavior that suggested extensive human interaction in his past. One particularly cold November evening, Sarah decided to follow Shadow after his usual visit to Mike's Deli. Armed with her veterinary knowledge and a deep concern for the dog's welfare, she maintained a careful distance as he navigated the darkened streets with his latest collection of food. The path Shadow took was far from random. He moved with purpose through the maze of city streets, occasionally stopping to check his surroundings with an alertness that spoke of both intelligence and caution. Sarah noticed he was taking more food than usual tonight, his movements more urgent than his typical calculated pace. As they ventured into the older part of town, Sarah's concern grew. The buildings here were largely abandoned, many marked for demolition in the city's upcoming renovation project. The area was considered unsafe, with unstable structures and occasional homeless encampments. The temperature had dropped significantly, and a light drizzle began to fall, making the already treacherous path even more dangerous. Sarah questioned whether she should continue following, but something in Shadow's determined gait told her she was on the verge of discovering something important. After nearly 40 minutes of walking, Shadow disappeared into what appeared to be an abandoned warehouse. Sarah waited, her heart pounding, before carefully approaching the building. The sound of voices, human voices, caught her attention, mixing with the soft whimpers of what seemed to be multiple dogs. Through a broken window, Sarah witnessed a scene that brought tears to her eyes. Shadow was carefully distributing his gathered food among 3 other dogs, all huddled protectively around an elderly man who lay on a makeshift bed of blankets. The man, she noticed, wore a veteran's cap and appeared to be ill. His breathing labored and his face flushed with fever. The other dogs, a retriever mix, a small terrier, and an older husky, watched Shadow with what could only be described as respect. As Sarah observed, she began to piece together the story. The elderly man's jacket bore the logo of the recently closed veterans' home, and his gentle murmurings to the dogs revealed their names. Shadow, his faithful companion, had been bringing food not just for himself, but for his owner and the other rescued strays they had collected. The situation was dire. The warehouse was scheduled for demolition in less than a week, and the elderly veteran was clearly in need of medical attention. The dogs had been working together, led by Shadow, to care for their human friend, but they were fighting a losing battle against time and weather. Sarah watched as Shadow gently nuzzled his owner's hand, the man weakly patting his head in response. The bond between them was palpable, a testament to years of companionship that refused to be broken by circumstance or hardship. The other dogs had their own stories written in their scars and watchful eyes, rescued strays that the veteran had likely taken in during his own time of need, forming a unique family bound by loyalty and survival. Shadow had become their leader, ensuring their small family's survival. Through the night, Sarah observed their routine. Each dog had a role. The terrier kept watch, the retriever stayed close to provide warmth, and the husky helped guard their territory. Shadow was clearly the provider, the one who ventured out to find sustenance for their unconventional family. The complexity of their situation became clear. This wasn't simply a case of a stray dog stealing food. This was a story of loyalty, survival, and the unbreakable bond between a veteran and his faithful companions. Shadow hadn't abandoned his owner during hard times. Instead, he had become the protector of their makeshift family. Their entire existence balanced on a knife's edge. The impending demolition, the veteran's deteriorating health, and the harsh winter weather all threatened to destroy this fragile sanctuary they had created. Something had to be done, and quickly. Sarah's hands trembled as she dialed Mike's number, knowing she couldn't handle this situation alone. She explained everything she had discovered about Shadow and his family, her voice cracking with emotion as she described the elderly veteran's condition. Mike listened intently, his initial frustration about the stolen food transforming into deep concern. Without hesitation, he promised to help, immediately reaching out to his network of local business owners and community leaders. Within hours, a small group of concerned citizens had gathered near the warehouse, led by Mike and Sarah. The local news station, alerted by one of Mike's regular customers, arrived to document the story. Shadow, ever vigilant, watched from the warehouse entrance, his posture both protective and uncertain as he guarded his vulnerable family. Dr. James Martinez, a local physician and regular at Mike's Deli, volunteered to examine the veteran, who they learned was named Thomas Wilson. The doctor's initial assessment confirmed their fears. Mr. Wilson had developed pneumonia and required immediate medical attention. However, the elderly veteran refused to leave without assurance that his loyal companions would be cared for. The story of Shadow's dedication and resourcefulness spread rapidly through social media, touching hearts across the city. local veterans organizations stepped forward, offering support and assistance. The owner of a nearby pet-friendly apartment complex, moved by the story, offered a ground floor unit at a reduced rate for Mr. Wilson and his furry family. Sarah's veterinary school professors and fellow students organized a medical care team for all 4 dogs, ensuring they would receive the treatment and attention they needed. Shadow, initially wary of the strangers, seemed to sense their good intentions, gradually allowing them to approach and help his beloved owner. The community's response was overwhelming. Donations poured in from local businesses and individuals, providing everything from medical expenses to pet supplies. A local groomer offered free lifetime services for all 4 dogs, while a pet food store committed to monthly food deliveries. Mike, feeling a deep connection to the story, transformed his deli's back storage area into a temporary shelter for the group while the apartment was being prepared. He watched with amazement as Shadow, now understanding they were safe, finally relaxed his vigilant stance, allowing himself to be cared for alongside his companions. The local media coverage captured Shadow's incredible journey. From his strategic food gathering to his role as protector and provider for his makeshift family. His story became a symbol of hope and compassion in the community, inspiring others to take action and help those in need. Mr. Wilson, now receiving proper medical care, shared the full story of how he and Shadow had ended up in their difficult situation. After the veterans' home closed due to budget cuts, they had nowhere to go. Rather than separate from his beloved dog, he chose to live on the streets, gradually collecting other abandoned dogs who needed help. What touched people most was Shadow's unwavering loyalty. Despite their hardships, he had never abandoned his owner, instead adapting and finding innovative ways to provide for their growing family. His intelligence and dedication had literally kept them alive through the hardest times. The transformation in Shadow was remarkable as he watched his owner recover. His eyes, once constantly alert for danger, now showed a gentler gleam. He allowed children to pet him at the deli, becoming something of a local celebrity. Though he never strayed far from Mr. Wilson's side, local businesses began implementing programs to help other homeless veterans and their pets, inspired by Shadow's story. The city council even revised their policies regarding emergency housing to be more pet-inclusive, recognizing the vital importance of keeping people and their animal companions together. The warehouse where they had sought shelter was temporarily spared from demolition, and plans were made to convert it into a pet-friendly homeless shelter, ensuring that others in similar situations would have a safe place to go with their animal companions. Shadow's actions had sparked a movement of compassion and change in the community, proving that sometimes it takes a dog's unwavering loyalty to teach humans about the true meaning of family and dedication. The transition to their new apartment marked the beginning of a remarkable transformation for Shadow and his family. Mr. Wilson's health improved steadily under proper medical care, while the 4 dogs adapted quickly to their new home. Shadow, though no longer needing to search for food, maintained his protective nature, but now in a more relaxed way. Sarah continued to visit regularly, monitoring the health of all 4 dogs and marveling at their recovery. The small terrier, once nervous and skittish, now wagged his tail at visitors. The old husky's limping improved with proper veterinary care, while the retriever mix gained healthy weight. Shadow watched over their progress like a proud parent. The local community's support never wavered. Neighbors regularly stopped by with treats and supplies, often staying to hear Mr. Wilson's stories about Shadow's cleverness during their difficult times. The dog's reputation grew, and he became known as the guardian angel of Portland, inspiring similar outreach programs in other cities. Mike's Deli became a hub for animal welfare advocacy, with Shadow's photo prominently displayed on the wall. The once stolen food had become a symbol of hope and resourcefulness, reminding everyone that sometimes what appears to be wrongdoing might actually be an act of desperate love and loyalty. The other 3 dogs, following Shadow's example, became therapy dogs at the local VA hospital. Their own experiences with hardship and survival made them uniquely suited to connecting with veterans struggling with similar challenges. Shadow, however, remained dedicated to Mr. Wilson, rarely leaving his side. Mr. Wilson's health continued to improve, and he began volunteering at the new pet-friendly shelter being developed in the old warehouse. His experience and understanding of both human and animal needs made him an invaluable advisor for the project. Shadow accompanied him, offering silent comfort to new arrivals. The bond between Shadow and Mr. Wilson grew even stronger in their stable environment. The dog no longer needed to be the sole provider, but his protective instincts remained intact. He would still check on each family member before settling down for the night, maintaining his role as guardian. Local schools began inviting Mr. Wilson and Shadow to speak about companionship, loyalty, and the importance of never giving up. Shadow's story became part of the city's narrative, teaching children about empathy, resourcefulness, and the extraordinary lengths one might go to protect their family. The other dogs that Shadow had helped protect became local celebrities in their own right. Each had a unique story of rescue and redemption, but all acknowledged Shadow as their leader and protector during the darkest times. Their unbreakable bond continued to inspire others. The community's transformation was remarkable. What began as a story of a thieving stray had become a catalyst for social change. New programs were implemented to help veterans keep their pets, understanding that sometimes these companions are the only family they have left. Sarah, now graduated from veterinary school, opened her own clinic with a special program for homeless pet owners. She never forgot the lessons learned from Shadow about loyalty and determination. His story influenced her approach to both animal care and human compassion. Mr. Wilson received a permanent position as the director of the new shelter, with Shadow serving as the unofficial mascot. Together, they helped countless other veterans and their pets find their way back to stability and hope. Shadow's legacy of protection and provision lived on through their work. The story reached national news, inspiring other cities to implement similar programs. Shadow's intelligence and dedication had not only saved his own family, but had created a ripple effect of positive change across the country. His actions proved that one dog's loyalty could transform an entire community. The most beautiful part of their story was how Shadow, once forced to steal food to survive, now had more than enough to share. Yet he never lost his giving nature, often sitting patiently beside Mr. Wilson as they helped distribute food to other animals in need, his gentle eyes watching over everyone just as before. Years have passed since Shadow's desperate food missions first caught the attention of Mike's Deli, but his legacy continues to grow. The security cameras that once captured him, carefully selecting food, now show him gracefully aging, still accompanying Mr. Wilson on their daily walks to the shelter. His silver-flecked muzzle and slower gait tell the story of time's passage, but his amber eyes retain the same intelligence and devotion that saved his family. The impact of Shadow's story reaches far beyond Portland city limits. What started as a tale of a thieving dog became a nationwide movement, inspiring countless communities to look deeper at the stories behind strays and homeless pet owners. Shadow's actions prove that sometimes the most beautiful acts of love can be mistaken for misconduct, reminding us all to lead with compassion rather than judgment. The bond between Shadow and Mr. Wilson stands as a testament to the extraordinary depths of animal loyalty. Their story challenges the conventional boundaries between provider and dependent, showing how a faithful companion can become a guardian angel in times of crisis. Shadow's unwavering dedication to his family demonstrates that love knows no species, and loyalty has no limits. Through their journey, Shadow and Mr. Wilson taught us that family isn't defined by conventional boundaries or social norms. Their makeshift family of rescued strays and a struggling veteran showed how the strongest bonds are often forged in the darkest times. Together, they proved that sometimes the most profound acts of humanity can come from our four-legged companions. The true miracle of Shadow's story isn't just in the happy ending, but in the ripple effect of positive change it created. From reformed shelter policies to new veteran support programs, his legacy continues to transform lives. Shadow never set out to be a hero. He was simply a loyal dog doing whatever it took to protect his family. In doing so, he became something greater, a symbol of hope, resilience, and the extraordinary power of unconditional love. Each evening, as Shadow curls up beside Mr. Wilson's chair in their warm apartment, surrounded by their rescued family, he offers a profound reminder of life's most important lessons. In a world that often seems divided and harsh, this remarkable dog shows us that love, loyalty, and determination can overcome any obstacle. Shadow's story teaches us that sometimes the most precious things in life aren't what we possess, but the lengths we'll go to protect those we love.